So we've burned through all the guns, but you know what hasn't had its time in the spotlight? It's those little toys the devs try to pass off as if they aren't completely unhinged. Ordnances. And because these things have more hidden behavior than a Vault Hunter at text time, let's break them down. What's good everyone, it's Word here, and today we're gonna break down every single unexplained legendary effect on our ordnances in Borderlands 4. How they really work, what the devs forgot to mention, and as a tenured professor I'll give them a grade that they can take home and stick on their fridge. Oh, and if you missed out the previous episodes, I got them all linked in the description. Since the Halloween event sucks balls, I rescue you from being bored out of your mind. First up, the jelly. Coming right from Splash Zone, practically free. And let me just start with this. Ordnances are so absolutely freaking awesome. It feels like this is when 86.3% of the imagination went. What replicating means is that this one is going to bounce around like it's auditioning for a circus act. Every hit, whether it's on walls, ground, enemies, it will spawn more copies, chaining elemental splash until every single Reaper begs for mercy. It's hilarious chaos, but also a wee bit more dangerous if you like being near walls. And as much as I dislike Reaper as a gun manufacturer, as a grenade, it feels so satisfying to drop these. We are starting out strong with an A, this one is strong, it looks fun, has a short cooldown, and pretty hilarious. Buoy with Buoyant is next. I have no idea how the fuck to pronounce it. It's coming from Vorexis. It is essentially a stationary mind. Buoy? Let me know in the comments below. I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, this is basically an introvert grenade. It doesn't go anywhere. It will fly about 5 meters and then it will just float before it explodes in about 10 seconds or if something runs into it. It does damage enemies if they run into it. But let me be honest with you. It has too little of a zone explosion for this to be useful. I can see the idea behind it of making a proximity mine in Borderlands, but you need to jump on enemies if you want to guarantee a hit and then try to backflip into safety somehow. It's just not good. After all the high that we had with the jelly, we are crashing down pretty hard all the way because we are failing this, so F. Shifting gears though, we got Swarm with Swoosh in our hands. This one comes from Sydney Pointy Legs, and this really lives up to the motto of you can do it. You get it, right? Swoosh, Nike. Alright, anyway, so it homes, it splits, but can it really do it? And I'm afraid, I don't think so. Without splash damage, it's literally just random kinetic bullets are flying around, and it turns out that the splash damage is actually really good. So this one doesn't do anything else other than making fireworks. It's good for looking good, bad for clearing rooms. Now at least you can't kill yourself with this, and since it's not as annoying as the previous one, I'm gonna grade it as a D-. Alright, now the UAV with that from above. You can obtain this from Mimicron, and this one just throws the playbook out the window. You throw it, a drone appears out of nowhere, and it starts bombing. It's a TD or grenade, but this one doesn't actually have to be manually activated. However, the delay is brutal. If your lovely intended recipient is moving around, this is basically useless. The only saving grace is that at least most of the time you can move out of the way in time, but since it's situational based on the enemy move speed, it's at least unique enough to be a carpet bomber. We grade it as C. I think it had a bigger boom, it could have turned out better. Now if you're vibing with this breakdown, check out my Rafa build that I'm using for all of this. It brings out the best of grenades. It's up on the tip, it's up. And speaking of vibes, now for the Destructo Disco with Groove. You have to farm Rambo Song for this, and I mean it. If you don't have it, you gotta get at least one of them. Groove will give you the funkiest way to deliver punishment. It literally plays music while beaming lasers. This is what Borderlands is all about. You throw it, it starts flying like a disco ball possessed by Claptrap, damaging enemies to a beat with its rotating beams. But is it useful? Sometimes. Unfortunately, as far as grenades go, it is very weak, so we cannot grade it too high, but it will get a C in funk alone. And from Disco Destruction to Blockbuster, we got you covered. This drops from Via Lictor, and this is one of my personal favorites. it explodes into more explosions, which explode into even more explosions. Basically, Michael Bay, the grenade. That's it. It's overkill the most beautiful way. Now, mind you, this will kill you quickly. If you throw it wrong, you're dead. However, this will also get the job done. A very strong contender for one of those items that you put on and then you forget to unequip because it's just so darn good. There is really no discussion here. It gets an A++ grade. This is destructive. It's an absolute massive wall of frame rate killing explosions and might just be the best item in the game. Who knows? Then the next one is unique. Recursive with looping. This is coming at you from Genome. I'll tell you right away. This one you will either love or hate. There's no in between. With it being a Malevolent Frisbee, it does suffer from a long cooldown, giving you a very, very hefty penalty if you miss it. That being said, looping is essentially a never-ending loop of grenade explosions, so as long as there is at least 2 enemies, the nade will automatically haunt them and bounce back and forth in between. That's an interesting motion. Okay, so bounce back and forth in between. Now, this can be situationally great, but from experience, it is simply too weak and lackluster compared to other options. I understand why they have to put it near a 30-second cooldown because it has such a strong hypothetical mechanic, but it just simply doesn't seem to translate into the actual game directly. I have to give it a D grade because there are just so many stronger options out there and it doesn't have any special visual effect to bump it up to a C. Moving on to Fuse though, with Fortified position comes from the driller hole and feels like the grenade that has an identity crisis. It bounces, it homes, it fires like an artillery, or artillery, yeah, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. Like it, so basically it's overcompensating. It is basically a bouncing Betty on caffeine. I can't decide if it's genius or if it's an accident. The fuse time that comes with the double D base, it simply notches it down a peg or two. Here's the problem when you compare it to something like a Blockbuster, it simply cannot hold a candle. Any grenade that takes too long to blow requires the enemies to stand in one place or simply inferior. I won't be too harsh on it because this one at least packs a real big punch and has a very low cooldown, so it'll get a B, but there are just much better options. Now this one is cheeky. The Buzz X with Makeshift from Xmall. And the Buzz X works just like a Jacob throwing knife. You land it, you get a melee buff or you get a buff. This is much more utility than an actual ordnance. You won't get any flashy explosions, but you can cycle the buff on yourself constantly. Now the fun part. This isn't only one of the best options for melee builds, but also for Wax, for example. It buffs both the Dead Ringers and Trouble, and they will get the 100% buff as well. It may not be as flashy as some of the other nades on the list. However, since it's a Creek throwback as well, I'm gonna give it an A grade without hesitating. Switching gears to the other type of ordnances, we're gonna begin with the Atling Gun with Whistler, from Callous Harbinger of Annihilating Death. Now the Whistler is gonna wind up fast, the bullets are gonna home in, and it will play like someone gave a minute on a GPS. If you pair it with the right build like an Amon Ordnance ammo regeneration build, it is freaking ridiculous. The biggest downside is that your ears will be ringing after an hour of use. I'll give it a B though because it is just a Gatling gun and nothing else. Next up, Bottle Lightning with Strike Twice directly from Origo. It sends out a slow-moving orb that will zap everything nearby like the devs coded in a Tesla coil and said just fuck it, ship it boys. It's slow, but the chain damage does add up really fast. So as far as the weapon goes, it is very reasonable, but as an actual item and something to have fun with, holy god dang it, this is terrible. Now, I've never been so unsatisfied dishing out tons of damage like I have been with this one. You could call it a B if you're squinting, but I cannot give it anything better than a C because it just puts me to sleep. And finally, Sprezzatura with the Gungnir. I have no idea, but that's a world drop anyway. So Gungnir will launch a laser-guided rocket that will ascend, lock on, and then smite whatever you pointed at. It feels very cinematic to have your own personal javelin missile, but unfortunately, this falls short in all of the categories. The damage that comes in is way too slow, way too late, and also way too little. You got the same issues that you have with the grenades that have a longer fuse time. The game just doesn't lend itself really to these things being useful. I appreciate there isn't a lot of creativity that you can apply when you're trying to make just the biggest heavy ordnance weapon, but this ain't it, Chief. It's gonna have to be a D from me. So that's every ordnance that has some unexplained legendary effect that the developers try to sneak past us. Some are brilliant, some are broken, and a few that are both at once. If you got a favorite or maybe a curse combo that I missed, drop it in the comments. I will read every single one of them. Now look, these are all the dirty little secrets for now. But don't you worry, if they hide something again, I'll be onto them. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.